Hello everyone, it's Brian here, and I'm going to do a thread response today. This is for a channel called Careful with That Axe Eugene, hosted by someone called Nick. And to be honest, I hadn't heard of this channel before until I had watched 2 or possibly 3 thread responses for his idea. Now, Nick had been away from his music channel for some time owing to some medical issues, so when he came back to make a video, it seemed logical that he would do something related to a gap or an absence. So this is called A Long Gap or Mind the Gap or something like that. And it's about artists who had a long span of time between records, which I thought was really interesting. And I immediately thought of a few that would fit. So I have chosen 5 as the parameters outline, and I'm going to start with a Canadian band I've mentioned before called the Rheostatics. And this is 2067, which was released in 2004. It's a pretty interesting design on this record. Now, I'm showing this on CD because it was never released on vinyl. There's the band as it was at the time. Martin Tielli, Tim Vesely, Dave Bedini, and Michael Filippo-Giuota. The band lineup has changed over the years a few times. And in the booklet, they do have postage stamps relating to each track on the record, which I think is quite interesting. And so there's a Canadian motif running through here. Now, what I didn't realize when I heard this record after many, many times, I mean, I heard it dozens of times and then read something about it, which said that the idea of this record is to imagine Canada on the 200th anniversary of Confederation. So Confederation was 1867. 200 years later, we have 2067. And this is the sort of concept album surrounding that. I didn't get that from listening to this record. I still don't get it. Maybe there's a couple of tracks that hint at it. Shack in the Cornfields, maybe. Polar Bears and Trees. Those are 2 Canadian ones, or 2 Canadian sounding ones. But on the other hand, you have Marginalized, which is really about George Bush. Maybe the highlight is the track called The Tarlix, which takes us right back to WKRP in Cincinnati. The video is fantastic because it features Frank Bonner, who played Herb Tarlek, and he's dressed as he was on the old show WKRP in Cincinnati. That's a fantastic track. Powered Ballad for Ozzy Osbourne. I'm kind of lukewarm on that song. I don't think it's great. I dig Music is okay, but Here Comes the Image is fantastic. Making Progress is fantastic. Marginalized is a killer track. So it's a mixed bag, but it's really good. No, so this came out in 2004. 2004 was their 11th record. Now, 2007, the band disbanded. I had seen them in concert a few times, so they gave up in 2007. Now, I don't have the date of like the month or the year. This came out the month or the day, just the year. So 2004. And after they disbanded, they got back together. So in 2019, September 6th, their 12th album came out after 15 years. And this is called Here Come the Wolves. With a slightly different lineup. You still have Dave Bedini. You've got the return of Dave Clark. You have Martin Tielli and Tim Vesely, the kind of core of the Rheostatics, joined by Hugh Marsh, a fantastic Canadian musician, and then Kevin Hearn, who's also a member of the Bare Naked Ladies. He toured with Lou Reed as well. He a really interesting guy. Put out some solo records as well. And it's just in a very boring inner sleeve. Now, the only problem with this record is that the CD version has 3 additional tracks. So this should have been a double or a 3-sided record because it's missing 3 tracks. One of them is Goodbye Sister Butterfly, which is a song about Gord Downie and the Tragically Hip, and it doesn't appear here, which is weird. The Tragically Hip always get the accolade as being the most Canadian band ever. I think the Rheostatics would give them a run for their money, especially on some of their songs, but they were friends, and so it's sad that song is not on the album, weirdly, not on the record anyway. So that was 15 years. Number 2, let's talk about The Cure. This is 413 Dream from 27th of October 2008, and this was their 13th album. Double record. I think this has only been pressed once. Maybe hard to find. I got mixed reviews. Some critics liked it, some didn't. Some fans liked it, some didn't. I think it's actually pretty good. It wouldn't make my top 5 or anything of Cure records, but starts out strong with Underneath the Stars, and I think it's pretty good. As I mentioned, double record. There is the label. So a strong Cure record. If you're a Cure fan, there's no reason why you wouldn't like it. It wouldn't be the place to start, probably, if you don't know anything about the band, but it's a solid album. Cool inner sleeves, some art on here. So the Cure, 413 Dream. And then after a gap of 16 years and 5 days, the band put out Songs of a Lost World, which I think many people know about. This was released with much fanfare. There was that live stream on YouTube. Even people who weren't fans of The Cure seemed to like this record. This one's on bio vinyl. I don't know if they all were, but I don't know. There's the reverse. The first track that was released, I think, was Alone. This comes with a poster, which I probably won't unfold, but, well, maybe I will. You may have seen it before. This poster, which is not in the correct orientation. This is their 14th record. This came out on the 1st of November 2024, which means the gap was 16 years and 5 days, which I think I've already said, but I'll say it again. So 16 years and 5 days. We got a new Cure record. What took them so long? Who knows? Let's go back to 1983. This is the 4th record from Bauhaus called Burning from the Inside, which is fantastic. It starts out with one of their signature tracks, She's in Parties, which is such a great track. It's an interesting record. Of course, I like everything they did, but there's some strange songs like Who Killed Mr. Moonlight, but really, really great album with the voice of Peter Murphy. And this is the inner sleeve. Sorts of revisions there of handwritten notes. And the album record is on this A&M label. There you go. Pretty cool. And I think at this point, everyone thought the band was done. They had released their final concert. So I'm putting, obviously, gaps between studio recordings in this case because there was some other stuff that came out. But their next studio album came out on the 3rd of March 2008. So after a gap of 24 years, 7 months, and 18 days, they released Go Away White, which surprised people. I didn't expect it. It's got an embossed cover there. I don't think many people expected it. This is surprisingly good, though. I mean, I've heard some fans say they don't really consider this Bauhaus. They don't listen to this because it's not the Bauhaus era that they knew, but I think it's really good. Comes on white vinyl with that classic Bauhaus label that I'm sure you've seen before if you're a fan of this band. This has a little insert and a sticker, I believe. Yeah, there's the sticker. And this nice little mini poster, I suppose. Really terrific album. Surprisingly good. I mean, for me, the highlights are Adrenaline. It's hard to read it because it's this silvery font on white. International Bulletproof Talent. Endless Summer of the Damned. Yeah, this is good. If you don't know it and you're a Bauhaus fan, you should check it out. Good luck finding it on vinyl, though. I don't think you'll find it. I think it's long sold out. Great record, though. Now, from Kraftwerk, we have Electric Cafe, which came out in 1986, November 10th. Maybe not their best record, but I still like it. And let me show you the label here. Electric Cafe from 10th of November 1986. Now, there was a record between this one and the next one, but it's a remix record. So I kind of ignored it because it wasn't a new studio recording. So the mix came out, I think, in 1991, and some fans hated it, some liked it. I think it's actually pretty good, but some fans were really distressed by it. But the next studio record came out in 2003, so a gap of 16 years, 8 months, and 24 days, and that was the Tour de France soundtracks. I don't have the 2003 version. This is a repressing from 2009, I guess. No, digital remaster 2009. I don't know when this came out. I should have looked it up. But it's on double vinyl. Pretty cool artwork here with these bikes from overhead. And very minimal kind of labels. And to round it out, it comes with this really excellent book, which I think is fantastic. So it has the cycling motif, the map, and some information, which I think is really excellent. I think this is a bit of a return to form because I think Electric Cafe is good, but I think this is much better. So this is great. I'll put that in later. So now, finally, let's talk about one of my favorite bands. This is King Crimson's 3 of a Perfect Pair, which was released on the 27th of March, 1984, their 10th album. And this is the third of their 1980s trilogy. For me, Discipline is the best. I'd put this one second. I'd put Beat third, perhaps. But there's still some excellent tracks on here. This is my favorite lineup of the band: Adrian Belew, Robert Fripp, Tony Levin, and Bill Bruford. And the title track 3 of the Perfect Pair is fantastic. There's some tracks that don't. They sound more like Adrian Belew tracks, like Man with an Open Heart, possibly Model Man. But side 2 is really kills it. You got Industry, Dig Me, No Warning, Lark's Tongues, and Aspic Part 3. So really cool way to end that record. And it took us a long time before we got another record from the band. It was 11 years, 8 days later, they released their next full-length studio recording. Now, there was an EP that came out on CD called Vroom, but this is the next full-length recording. It's Thrack from April 3rd, 1995. As I said, after 11 years and 8 days. With those original 4 members, or the 4 members from that last band, plus the addition of Trey Gunn and Pat Mastelotto. This is an album that I loved when it came out, but I think I actually like it more now than when I first heard it. And I don't really know why that is. There's still some tracks that I don't love. Walking on Air, again, sounds more like an Adrian Belew song, and I love Adrian Belew, but Vroom is excellent. And the coda of Vroom Vroom Later, I think, are really great. Baboom is great. Thrack is great. People, I'm kind of ambivalent about. One Time as well, but there's some really great tracks on here. Sex, Sleep, Eat, Drink, Dream. Cage is on here. Yeah, there's some really excellent work on this record. And I guess King Crimson, they're well known for, destroying their lineup and coming back with a new lineup. Robert Fripp has reformed the band over and over again. For me, as I mentioned, the best lineup for me is the 80s version. But, this version I thought was excellent. I'm not thrilled with the new lineup now. I don't love the singer. I think Adrian Belew should get back in the band. That would be my preference. But, again, big gap with that one. So, that's it, really. If you have something to add to this thread, that'd be really cool. And I'll put a link to Nick's channel so you can go over and have a look at what he's doing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.